Evan Fisher here with Scotty Powell for the Carolina Weather Group. We're doing a special late night edition of kind of a live show about the snow, ice, rain threat that's moving into the Carolinas overnight. If you're not familiar with what's coming, we do see a threat for accumulating snow, sleet, and freezing rain going into the morning hours across western North Carolina and portions of the western Piedmont of western North Carolina. There are winter storm warnings and some winter weather advisories out for those areas that are expecting accumulations. Northern mountains, I believe, are looking at 3 to 6 inches. As you get further south into the Asheville area, not looking at a lot of snowfall per the official National Weather Service forecast. Maybe just a trace or so in addition to what we already have, but potentially some icing concerns just to the south of Asheville. As you get down to the foothills, the Morganton area, a trace to 2 inches of snow is possible going into the morning hours with another zero point 0.1 to 0.2 inches of freezing rain. All of this combined, winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories, and both of those, we see the potential for power outages and travel concerns.
Icing concerns.
So we just wanted to give you guys a quick update on what we're expecting and what we're seeing play out currently, because we do have some interesting trends that are happening as we speak, and we've been watching over the past couple of hours since the snow ended in western North Carolina, that may play into how tomorrow morning goes in terms of snowfall and sleet and freezing rain. So I'll toss it over to Scotty, let him give his initial thoughts, and we're just going to kind of banter and chat.
Yeah, thank you, Evan. Man, it was crazy. You and I, we have a text group, and we were kind of watching that initial band of snow come through, and we started seeing those reports out of the upstate of South Carolina, which, at the time we thought would just be mainly rain, but it was showing some snowflakes down there, and that snow pushed through and produced, anywhere between a half an inch. We actually saw a few places in McDowell County up into Watauga County is seeing around 2 inches. So it kind of overachieved from what the HRR was showing, and we got to give props. We were talking before we started. The HRR really nailed that band of snow moving through. So we're gonna watch tonight, Evan. You were talking about. I was punching the button, so forgive me if you've talked about this, but we could see some changes, and it depends on if you like snow and sleet or whatever. But some areas may not see as much freezing rain as once was anticipated. We may see more snow and sleet. Before we do that, let's pop up these watches and warnings and advisories and kind of give you an idea of who is under what. So hopefully you guys can see the screen. These darker colors represent winter storm warnings, and that is for a combination of sleet, snow, and freezing rain accumulations. Evan just gave them to you just a little bit ago. But these areas under this winter storm warning, which has it looks like it's been expanded a little bit up here into northern North Carolina, are expecting to see some major issues impact-wise. These lighter colors are winter weather advisories, and that goes through the southern Piedmont, through the Catawba Valley, up into the Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and Raleigh area, even over into the Rocky Mount area as well. So a lot of areas along and north of Interstate 40 here in North Carolina are under some sort of winter storm warning or winter storm or winter weather advisory. So those are the areas of particular interest, places like Hendersonville, Marion, Morganton, Lenoir, up into Boone and Blowing Rock, Wilkesboro, Elkin, up into Mount Airy. Those are your winter storm warnings. And then some of the bigger cities under a winter weather advisory would be Hickory, Statesville, Mooresville, up into High Point, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, back over towards Chapel Hill, Durham, Raleigh, and Rocky Mount. So those are some of the areas. Actually, the Raleigh area and places like that just saw snow a few days ago. So kind of a double whammy here for those areas. So that's your winter storm warnings and watches. Evan, I have one more thing pulled up, and then we can kind of go through some of the model data. Here's the current look at our temperatures. We want to thank the State Climate Office for this, and you can kind of see. And Evan, if you want to, I know you have Appalachian Weather's got some maps and sensors of the highest elevations, and we can pull those up and kind of take a look at those temperatures as well.
Sure.
But you can see where the snow has fallen, like Asheville, back towards Rutherford County, down into the Shelby area, over towards Lincolnton, Hickory, Morganton, up into the Boone area, even up into Mount Airy, these temperatures are already flirting with 32 degrees, the freezing mark. So when this precipitation starts to fall, most of the time we'll see the temperature fall just a little bit. Sometimes we see bigger changes, but under this circumstance, it would not be out of the question to see these temperatures drop at least 1 or 2, 3 degrees. And if we drop those 2, 3 degrees, we're going to see a lot of areas below freezing. So this would be of a main concern for those impacts on travel. So we'll have to watch that as we go back into the high point, Winston-Salem, Greensboro area. We're looking at the mid to upper 30s. And then back towards Raleigh, we also have mid to upper 30s as well. So they're a little bit warmer than these areas that really saw the snowfall earlier this afternoon and early this evening. So as Evan was talking about, those are areas of concern because when this next batch of precipitation moves in, we could see some pretty big impacts. So Evan, I'll stop sharing the screen. I'll let you pull yours up because I know you've got some pretty interesting data that kind of gives us an idea of what's going on above where most of us live.
Sure, absolutely. So we have the site at plattsandweather.com, and this really compiles the stations that Scotty was just looking at into a vertical view of the atmosphere, similar to a sounding. We don't have any balloon launches here in Western North Carolina, so we make do with this data. But what's really interesting about what we're seeing right now is this is our vertical temperature profile. So we have Asheville down at the bottom at 28 degrees or so, all the way up to Mount Mitchell at the top, which is the highest station in Western North Carolina. There is one higher, but it's not on this plot, at 20 degrees and still cooling. The interesting thing about this is if you go back and look at the short-term model guidance, the HRRR and the NAM 3 kilometer, if you're familiar with some of the weather models, by this time of night, which is, I believe it's now 3:30 Zulu, it was supposed to be well above freezing up near Mount Mitchell. We were supposed to have an inversion in place with warm and dry air above 5,000 feet or so. Currently, we're not seeing that. We still have 20 degrees on Mount Mitchell, which is nowhere even close to the freezing mark. We're way far, well below that. And similarly, Scotty, I just ran a script, so I'm going to stop the share and switch my screen over to one more thing. And this is our humidity or relative humidity profile. So all of these stations from Asheville up to Grandfather Mountain are entirely saturated. And by this time of night, we were expecting 5,000 feet and above to be very, very, very dry. So all that to say, you may not necessarily know what to do with that information, but we can say that something is different than what's been forecasted over the last 6 hours. We're seeing real-time trends that are not in line with the forecast. So we need to figure out how to adapt to that. Looking at the latest HRRR model, the last 2 runs, it has showed higher snowfall totals across the Asheville area and the western Piedmont of North Carolina. And that's interesting. If you kind of dive into that and look at the soundings, it's a little bit more in line with the current thermal profile. Even still, it's not truly in line with what we're seeing in actuality. There's no model forecasting 20 degrees at 6,000 feet at this hour. We're just kind of in no man's land, and we're trying to figure out how to adjust to that.
Yeah, we're kind of in this period right now where the only model that is constantly running is the HRRR, and is basically between that and nowcasting it and looking at what Evan was talking about, looking at what's going on around us and kind of, playing off of that. And so we're seeing this change. Evan, do you want to pop up the map, or do you want me to? Or
yeah, which map?
We could. You want to go through the latest HRR run, and we can kind of just show what is going on. And so before we kind of play this and we do some play-by-play per se, just take this with a grain of salt. This is not the gospel, but this is the only tool that we have to work with right now, and this is the only information that we have to really work with. So let's go back. Let's go to let's kind of show the future cast. Timing, and we'll kind of go through this timing, then we'll look at some of the totals as Evan pulls it up. This is going to be you can see that band of snow that moved through. We are looking at an onset of precipitation starting somewhere in North Carolina. I think this is around, what is that, 2 a.m.?
2 to 3 a.m.
2 to 3 a.m. And you can see, Evan, if you pause it right there, that dark blue that's snow, and then you can kind of see the pink. That would be a sleet, freeze, and rain mixture, and then the greens are rain. And as you can see, as we're approaching, I guess this is what, 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m., something
4
around.
a.m.
Yeah, 4 a.m. You can see a lot of the mountains, obviously, with some snowfall, but we're even seeing that snowfall line kind of creep into the foothills and even the northern Piedmont of North Carolina. I mean, you look at McDowell, a good chunk of Burke County, a good chunk of Caldwell County, most of Wilkes County, up into Surrey County, Allegheny County. Those areas are all snow with this. And now, again, I want to say, I don't want you to get your hopes up that, and this is going to turn into a snow event, because this is just what we're seeing. We wanted to kind of put a little caveat in there. It looks to be trending colder, but we can't for sure say, hey, we're throwing out the freeze and rain threat and going strictly with snow. We're just kind of looking at this. And then, Evan, as we roll it forward, you and I were talking, there's a real definitive line of who sees frozen precipitation, who doesn't.
Yeah, so right about sunrise, we're going to start to see warm temperatures move into the central and southern mountains and just kind of negate the ongoing snow and freezing rain and limit it to the western Piedmont, so the foothills, the northern mountains, and maybe a few portions of Polk and Henderson County. So by sunrise, we'll start to see rain falling in Asheville. But you can see that line that Scotty's talking about, this definitive line where this orangish pink color turns into blue. That's going to be an extremely sharp gradient. We'll show you the snow totals in a minute. You'll know exactly what we mean by that. But even going through the morning, go ahead, Scotty.
I was going to say that this is literally that last screen was following the Interstate 40. I mean, if you drew Interstate 40 on a map and you can lay this radar data on top of that, that freezing line is literally Interstate 40. So
yeah,
we don't make this stuff up. We use them as boundaries in the weather world just because people know where the interstates are. But that's hugging the Interstate 40 corridor. So interesting to say the least.
Yeah. And as we go forward through the morning hours, we're now looking at 8 a.m. and we've got widespread sleet. So snow will likely be coming to an end across most of the foothills, the Morganton area. We're going to be switching over to sleet, rain in some areas, maybe even some freezing rain, depending on how the thermal profile looks way over our heads. And then precipitation is going to move out pretty quickly, Scotty, as we get towards midday. It's going to clear west to east. And by 2 p.m., we're looking at dry weather across the western parts of the Carolinas, and then the rain is moving east across eastern North Carolina. All the snow and all of that junk by that time of day will be limited to Virginia and areas north.
There's a good possibility that if you live in the foothills in the northern Piedmont, northwestern Piedmont, so I'm going to name these counties for you: McDowell, Burke, Caldwell, Alexander, Wilkes, Allegheny, Surrey, northern Catawba, northern Iredell. There's a chance that we may see frozen precipitation throughout the entire event until we get to the very end when it switches over to rain. Now, we'll have to continue to see if this trend continues, but there's a possibility that this could be an all frozen precipitation event. We may not really have a lot of rain. Evan's showing you the outlook on the snowfall totals, and you can kind of see that sharp cutoff. If you live in Hickory to the north, in McDowell, Burke, Caldwell, Alexander, Wilkes, up into northern Iredell. I think you've got Davie County up there. You've got, oh man, I'm losing my counties here. Forsyth, and you have Forsyth, but there's a county between Wilkes and Forsyth that is just losing my train of thought right now. But that area is looking to be more snow and sleet. Again, that says 3.8 inches. If we even cut that in half, you're still looking at around 2 inches from Morganton back through Caldwell up into Alexander. That's showing 5 inches for North Wilkesboro. So if you cut that in half, that's still 2.5 inches of snowfall. So that's the interesting part, Evan. And then the sleet product is even more interesting.
Yeah,
Ah,
absolutely.
Derek saved me there. Yadkin County. You're right.
Yeah.
That's Yadkin County. So I appreciate that, Derek. Thanks for it. It slipped my mind there for a second. But here's your sleet outlook, and Evan, that's a mess.
Yeah, it's going to be a mixed bag tomorrow. There's certainly a potential that people see snow, freezing rain, sleet, and rain. But your area, Scotty, the Morganton, the Hickory area, you guys look to be potentially the bullseye of the sleet event.
Yeah, I mean that little Unifor area, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba, Alexander, that's showing anywhere between an inch to an inch and a half of sleet. That's going to cause major issues on roadways. There's no two ways about it. That's going to cause impacts on roadways. But if you look at that, look even up into Greensboro and Winston-Salem, you're looking at potentially a half an inch of sleet up into the Mount Airy area. You're looking at 8/10, almost an inch of sleet up there. So uh, if we go down to the freeze and rain totals, you can kind of see why we may not be talking about freeze and rain as much. I still think there's a glaze. That kind of tells us there's a glaze. Interesting note, Evan, in Burke County, you're looking even down in just south of you in Asheville in Henderson County, you have the, what is that, the Balsams?
South of there is you have the Hickory Nut Gorge, and you
Hickory.
still have a couple other smaller ranges down there.
So you can see the Hickory Nut Gorge, South Mountains in Burke County, the Brushy Mountains in Wilkes and Alexander, and kind of see higher, those deeper colors. That represents higher elevation. Everything's been telling us that freezing rain would be prevalent everywhere, but now it seems to be those higher elevations that could see the more freezing rain. There still could be a glaze of ice from any freezing rain, but it's primarily looking to be a sleet snow event along the mountains, foothills, and the northwestern Piedmont.
Right. One of the things we want to be careful with here is knowing which model to pick. We've discussed before on the show that the NAM 3 kilometer is very good with cold air damming scenarios. Now, if we flip over to that, and I'll go ahead and show the same map, but for the NAM, I can get my cursor over there. Yeah, there we go. The NAM does show a heavier glaze of ice across much of western North Carolina. Now, the caveat is that this model has not run since 0Z, which was hours ago at this point, and it won't update again for another 4 hours.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this is potentially outdated given the current temperature profile that we're seeing. That if you were to take a sounding from this model, it's way off base. It's not even close to what's actually going on right now. So something like this may end up being correct because the NAM does handle the cab better. But truthfully, I'm wary of the NAM solution because of how wrong it is at this moment. And the precipitation hasn't even started yet. But pre-precipitation, we're seeing some differences.
Yeah, we are. And, this storm system's still back over the Ohio Valley, back towards Indiana, Illinois. So we'll continue to track that. But, there's just little pieces. We always say stick around. The forecast is always changing. And that's what we're seeing with this latest run. Like Evan said, we've not had any models really put out any new output for several hours except the HRR. And the HRR did really well with this initial band of snow. So, we're just kind of going with what we have right now. But everything's showing, Evan, that things are a little bit cooler temperature-wise. And in this scenario, cooler means that there may be less freezing rain for portions of the area and more frozen precipitation, as in sleet or snow.
Right. Yeah, I've got the National Weather Service official forecast pulled up on the screen right now through tomorrow. Actually, let me go forward just a touch more. We'll go through, we'll call that 0 or 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. This is the official National Weather Service snowfall forecast. Now, if you note, it looks quite similar to what the NAM 3 kilometer had. Not NAM 3, pardon me, the HRRR model. With up to an inch of snow and sleet accumulation in Henderson and southern Buncombe County, potentially some spots going up to 2 inches in Henderson, and then 2 to 4 inches with a big plus across the high country for the foothills and western Piedmont area where we have those winter storm warnings. Scotty, it's important to note that this is not a single part system. Even after we see this initial precipitation move out tomorrow afternoon in western North Carolina, we're going to see another round on Monday and Tuesday and potentially even Wednesday in the higher elevations of the mountains, including Boone. So that's a bigger city, areas above 3,500 feet. So if we were just to move this forward another 24 hours to 0Z Tuesday, we get another 2 inches plus in the Boone area. And then those totals are going to keep climbing as we get towards Wednesday. There may still be a few snow showers flying Tuesday evening.
Evan, I was just every once in a while the Weather Service just kind of continues these winter storm warnings, and when they do that, sometimes they will update that. And I was just reading the newest update. They have changed the snowfall accumulation now to 1 to 4 inches of snow / sleet, and only 1/10 of an inch of ice. Earlier updates were up to 2/10 to maybe even 1/4 inch of ice. So they have. I mean, just looking at this, looks like the ice accretion forecast has been lowered a little bit. The snow sleet forecast has kind of been elevated a little bit, just grazing at some of their new products here. So kind of goes in line with what we've been talking about.
In terms of impacts, that's good news. Freezing rain is by far and away the most damaging of any winter weather that we get here in the Carolinas. It can bring down trees onto homes, cars, and power lines. And that causes a whole myriad of issues. Now, sleet, Scotty, is another terrible one for the roads, and snow certainly is as well. But we are happy to see a little bit more snow in the forecast and a little bit less freezing rain, especially as we're in the home stretch to this event.
So I'm going to share my screen here for a second, yep. Evan. You were, this is the newest update from the Weather Service. This is GSP's update. This is going to be the snowfall forecast. You can kind of see now they've got a widespread 2 to 3 inch total now over the foothills, which goes in line with what the HRR was just saying. So you look at Statesville, 1 inch, Hickory 1 inch or 2 inches, Morganton 2 inches, Lenore 2 inches. Kind of see these darker shades though. That's about 3 inches here in McDowell, Western Burke, and even up into northern Caldwell. Look at that. Blowing Rock can see anywhere about 5-6 inches up in that area, up towards Newland. So that is the snowfall. Let me go to the ice. 1 second. I'm just doing this off the whim here off their website. Now you can kind of see that freezing rain. It's been knocked down to about a glaze and nothing really more than that. So good news is it looks like we may be trending away from this freezing rain threat and trending more to a snow sleet threat, which I don't think would disappoint many people, to be honest with you.
No, we're overdue for some snow in western North Carolina. We haven't had a big one in a while in the lower elevations. So we're certainly not expecting a big snow, but it is nice to see it trend upwards.
I was gonna say we're not expecting a big snow, but nonetheless, I would really feel bad if we didn't do this, because we talked to our folks at the Weather Prediction Center. We need to bring up the winter storm severity index. I would hate to bring that up because we have had the folks on to talk about this new product, and whenever we get a chance to feature it, I would like to do that. So let me get this populated here to the county boundary so you can kind of see where the counties are. Get this presentable here. All right, let me share this screen. Sorry for those who are watching. This is just kind of spur of the moment. I didn't have these queued up. But you can kind of see these severity indexes. You can kind of see these orange spots. That would be moderate impacts, and that is often threatening to life and property. Some damage avoidable typically results in disruptions to daily life. So that would show you these areas in orange, the disruptions most likely would be traveling on the roads. With sleet and snow, I don't really foresee many trees and things coming down, but this would be impacts to the road. So you can kind of see minor to moderate impacts here in the foothills and up into the mountains of North Carolina. And this impacts go from the Winston-Salem area back through Yadkin County, Wilkes County, Iredell, Catawba, Alexander, Caldwell, Burke, McDowell, back into Buncombe County, and then Rutherford County and Henderson County. So those Watauga, Allegheny as well. So you can kind of see that's the primary zone right there of where we could see the most impacts here for the winter storm severity index. And this is a new product, so we definitely wanted to highlight that. But Evan, just kind of show, for those who may just now be tuning in, we've been talking about ice, but it potentially could be turning more into a sleet or snow event for a lot of people here in North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely. For those folks that weren't here during the earlier recap, we do have the current forecast of 1 to 4 inches across the western foothills and the western Piedmont of North Carolina, 4 to 8 inches in the high country, the Boone area, and then a trace to 1.5 inches in the Asheville area. And as Scotty was saying, we've seen the official National Weather Service freezing rain, so ice forecast, diminish greatly in the latest forecast update that they've given, down to really just a glaze in most areas, with maybe a few pockets of heavier accumulations, a thicker accumulation in right along the Blue Ridge Escarpment near Buncombe County.
So anyways, that's what it looks like right now. Scrolling through here, I hope I haven't missed any of your, I've tried to keep our live thing up here. We'll get a couple of your questions. Eric Moss asking about Lake Lookout, which I believe is in Catawba County, central Catawba County. Again, maybe a glaze of ice there, a little bit of sleet is possible as well. Will's asking about Charlotte getting rain as usual. It kind of looks that way, doesn't it, Evan? Yeah. Charlotte is on the bad side of this, the quote unquote warmer side for some rainfall. And getting a hello from Atkins, Virginia. So hello there. And his name is Scotty. So hello there, Scotty, from Atkins, Virginia. So those are some of the questions that we've had come through. Let me make sure I didn't miss any more. I think we have. So Evan, again, let's kind of just do one more quick synopsis. Precipitation looks to start moving in, the second batch moving in, we'll say between 1 and 4 a.m., depending on where you are. And we could see a period of snow and sleet in the mountains and the foothills of northwestern Piedmont, North Carolina. And then everything really kind of moves out of here by late morning. And Evan, the impacts, I'll let you talk kind of about the impacts of what we're going to see.
Yeah, so thankfully we're not going to have as big freezing rain impacts. We're not as worried about limbs falling from trees to take down power lines and having a bunch of power outages. Thankfully, the snow and sleet will cause less damage to trees. So that's a plus side. But unfortunately, with snow and sleet, obviously there is an issue on the roads. If we see a lot of sleet accumulating, particularly over the foothills where the bullseye may be for sleet totals, that could certainly cause some significant disruptions to travel, making it potentially even impossible, Scotty, near the Morganton and Hickory area. So we recommend that you just stay off the roads tomorrow, unless you really have to go somewhere. Just stay home and enjoy the rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, whatever you're getting at the moment.
Definitely so. So for those who are kind of upset or worried about an ice storm, I think maybe we can breathe a little bit easier. We're not going to see that ice storm, at least for this event, but more of a nuisance glaze of ice. The bigger story could be sleet and snow here in the foothills, mountains, and northwestern Piedmont. So with that, Evan, we'll go ahead and close out. A great opportunity. Go ahead, plug Appalachian Weather again one more time, because some vital information that you can get there if you really want to kind of get inside the numbers and see what's going on, not only here at the surface, but a couple thousand feet up in elevation.
Oh yeah, if you guys want to see some of the plots that we've used here, these vertical temperature profiles in areas where we don't have balloon soundings, but we use weather stations and a vertical step motion up the mountains from the valley to the top to get an idea of what the temperature profile is like in the lower 1 to 2 kilometers of the atmosphere. So anyways, if you want to see any of those plots, you can go to AppalachianWX.com. They're pretty informative. There's still lots of work to be done, so let me know if you have requests. Yeah, you can check them out there.
Definitely so. We would love to know. I'm sure Evan and I will probably be up a lot of tonight and probably a lot of tomorrow morning. If you want to, tweet us at Carolina WX Group. Let us know what you're seeing. We'd love pictures. We like to retweet them out and share them with everyone. So, excuse me. So let us know what you're seeing at your house. Give us just a general town that you live in or county, and we'll definitely get that information tweeted out. So for Evan Fisher, I'm Scotty Powell. We hope you have a safe evening. Enjoy the winter weather, and we will see you back here, I guess, Wednesday night. I think we have we're going to be talking with the Frying Pan Tower folks and kind of talk about what's going on out there. So until then, we will see you later. Have a great evening and enjoy